Hey everybody, this is Kate again. I'm here to tell you the story of my DUI wake-up call. I was woken up on November 30th of 2019 when I was pulled over by two officers outside of Colfax, Washington. I was arrested and I was taken into custody for most of the weekend because I made the decision to drink alcohol and then try to drive home to the Tri-Cities where I live. At the time, I'd been visiting my brother in Pullman, Washington, and we had been drinking that night, and I made a bad decision, which I'm now paying for. And I just want to tell you guys about the whole story behind it and my background on alcohol and other substances. So, in the beginning, I tried cannabis, weed, whatever, when I was about 14 years old, and I tried alcohol when I was about 16 years old. At this point in time, neither of these things became a habit, and I was able to just put them down and kind of move on with my life. It wasn't a big deal to me, and I just brushed it off. I just wanted to experiment, and I didn't think much of it. Throughout high school, I was also very much involved with wrestling, and I worked full time in summers and landscaping. So, even though some of my friends were starting to drink in high school around age 17 or so, 16, 17, somewhere in there, I was too occupied with what I was doing. And plus, I lived out in the country, so I was isolated and didn't really hang out with people that much. So growing up, I had what in my perception, from my perspective, was an overbearing stepdad, and we had a sort of an abusive relationship. Him and I did, and so did him and my mom. And towards the end of my mom's relationship with my stepdad, things just kept getting more and more tense. There was a lot of yelling and fighting at night, and most of the time I felt pretty powerless to do anything about this. And I just kind of bottled these emotions up. I didn't know what to do with them. My mom was too busy to talk a lot of the time, and I didn't. I was just on my own a lot. I had my two brothers, but for the most part, I just kind of kept my stuff to myself and didn't really talk about it a lot. So shortly after I turned 18, my mom, two brothers, and I we moved from Moscow Mountain, which was in the country, isolated, to Moscow, Idaho, where I went to school and all my friends lived. And it was a surge of relief when this happened because I was no longer in that negative environment with my stepfather, and I was close to my friends. So now I could hang out and do the things I've always wanted to do, or couldn't do as much as I wanted to growing up until this point. This was, like I said, September, and wrestling season was just about to start, so I was very much occupied with that. I was training every day with this guy I knew that was a former college wrestler, and we would meet up and go practice on our own. And sometimes I would go to the U of I practices. That's University of Idaho. I would go and practice with those wrestlers because they had a little club wrestling team. But anyway, I was super involved with wrestling until about February of my senior year of high school. In February, it was the downhill side of wrestling. The major tournaments were over. I just had the state tournament left. I wrestled in that at the end of February, and at this point in time, my girlfriend at the time had ended our relationship, which had lasted the better part of high school. So overall, I had mixed emotions about that. I kind of felt cheated. I felt angry. I was able to mask these feelings pretty well in day to day, but overall, I felt kind of upset and sad because for years I'd just been kind of bottling things up. I bottled up my relationship with my stepdad and that thing, and then I bottled up this whole thing with my girlfriend. And I saw my friends were drinking, and I started experimenting with it. I had a buddy who knew some people that were over the age of 21, and they would help me get alcohol. I used to drive and get them in my truck, and we would go to grocery stores and liquor stores, and I would get alcohol that way. A good buddy and I would drink probably every other weekend or so. Um, and in my mind, I started associating with alcohol with a good time. I like the way it made me feel. I like how I almost turned into a different person when I drank. I normally kind of a shy person. I don't do well in social situations. But when I drank, all that changed. I became talkative. I was kind of the life of the party. It was just completely this alter ego thing. So for the next 5 years or so, that was what I did for fun. Was I started getting into pot, weed, cannabis. I did that regularly. I I tried a lot of different things. I tried mushrooms. I tried other psychedelics, LSD. What else? I tried MDMA. Um, just a whole list of these things that I kept trying and experimenting with. But overall, my main relationship with a substance was alcohol. And that's the whole point of this video. I'm just kind of giving you guys a background of how I got to where I am. Um, and for everyone, the wake up call is different. For me, I had to wake up. It took a DUI for me to wake up and really consider what I was doing and the relationship I had with substances, particularly alcohol. And from the time of my arrest to this point in time, I'm almost 5 months without drinking or any of that, and I'm about 2 years with no weed because I moved from Pullman, Washington to Richland, Washington, where my dad lives, and now I have my own place. But when I made that transition, I left weed behind in Pullman, and I haven't smoked it since. I haven't drank, like I said, since November 30th, and I'm proud of myself. But when I got arrested and spent that time in jail in Whitman County at Colfax, something really changed in my mind. I went from associating alcohol with a good time, with having fun, to associating alcohol with a lot of pain. Because when I left to go visit my brother in November, when I got this DUI, my girlfriend at the time, or now she's my fiance, she became my fiance in December, but she was pregnant with our baby. He's due here in a little while. She was pregnant, and I decided to leave her and drink and then try to hop in my truck and drive home, which was obviously a horrible decision. But at the time, in my mind, I guess because I had been drinking, I didn't think it was a bad decision because my judgment was so greatly impaired. But after I got arrested and sat in jail, I had a lot of time to think about that decision, and I just felt a great sense of regret, and the pain of what I had done just really sank in. So now, in my mind, alcohol is related to pain instead of pleasure. So that's what it took for me to stop drinking alcohol. At this point, I'm just going to keep going strong until further notice and probably not drink for a while. I could see myself drinking again in the future, maybe. Um, I don't know though. If I do, it's definitely going to be in a lot more responsible way and not quite to the degree as it was earlier. It's not going to be in excess, and it's going to be for more of a special occasion type of thing and just a lot more responsible. Because right now, the way I see it is um, my alcohol privileges have been revoked. I revoked my own alcohol privileges because I realized that I need to take a step back and really think about what this is doing for me, how is it benefiting me, and just take an overall account of my life. Anyway, guys, this is my DUI wake-up call. This is how I woke up. It was a smack in the face. It was a big reality check getting this DUI, and it's cost me thousands of dollars, lawyers, court dates, restricted driver's license, ignition interlock. So if anyone out there is in the process of having a DUI charge or any of that, let me know in the comments your story, and I encourage all of you to make your own stories about the moment in time where you woke up and realized, wait a minute, my relationship with this substance is not serving me. It is negative, and something needs to change. Anyway, guys, I thank you a lot for watching. The whole goal of this channel is just to be as transparent as possible, offer you guys the wisdom I've gathered from my own experiences, because at the end of the day, I think the best teacher is personal experience. Thank you.